to successfully not have a big problem with the YouTube thing that they screwed up this time.
Good.
The trouble is that YouTube sort of went to this new control interface some time ago, but they've only gradually been dropping the various screens and features of the old version, which is what I was using. So there used to be something called the YouTube Live dashboard, which you could use to like control streams and create new streams and stuff like that. And it all works exactly the same now, except it's not called YouTube Live Dashboard, and there's no button anywhere to go there. It's very irritating. We're live, folks. Welcome back with, as soon as we get to the game as opposed to chit-chat, Dead of Winter, the battle, our very alternate. Let me put the tweet out. So Pat and I were talking about various World War I things, and because he and the Blue Tweezers, whose channel you should definitely be subscribed to if you're not already, have been playing Great War in Europe, which is an old Command magazine game that was reprinted, re-released from GMT in a at least somewhat expanded edition. And I think Tweezers is playing Twilight in the East with Jordan. I think that's right. Still happening, and that's a game that looks it's sort of interesting in parts and less interesting in other parts. It's got a pretty good reputation. The West Front volume 1914 Offensive Outrance is well regarded, but it doesn't seem to get played much. I really have not seen a lot of... I know it's hit the table at Consim World Expo in the past, but I haven't really seen it getting a lot of play traction. Maybe
Which game?
Offensive Outrance.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think I discussed that when he and I were streaming. But real quick, what I told you before, So we actually prepped to play it. He taught me the system. We looked at it, and when we were like, okay, maybe we'll go. We'll do this. When we actually popped open and looked at the strategic rules, for the campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
How does this campaign work? It not only via the strategic plan mechanism, which I don't want to get into. You have to try to adhere to a plan.
Right.
The game just threw Chrome rules and special rules.
But you can also, as part of the base rules, you can change those strategic plans.
Right.
But it sounds like as part of the campaign rules, there are restrictions on doing so in that particular campaign.
They basically make it if you go into anywhere west of the actual historical channel that for lack of a better term that the Schlieffen plan turned south on after Belgium.
Right.
Okay. It creates a dead zone where you'd just be out of supply and die.
That sucks.
Right, and Lord knows why they did it. Balance, what who knows, or attempting to latch on to history to try to find a quick solution to.
Well, maybe. That is, like you said, that is a design decision.
But historically, the French discussed it, and it was completely actually historically shut down because the French planned to retake that territory. They didn't want to completely destroy all their rolling stock, and screw their economy over, themselves. But what I didn't like about it was what we've talked about in a lot of games, right? It creates it turns you in from someone making operational decisions, because I think that system has a potential for the same type of interesting decisions you have, like in great campaigns of the American Civil War, right? It's kind of that scale of things, but they just, if your reasoning was historicity, then you chose the wrong campaign, despite the fact that it's the Schlieffen plan. That's sexy. That'll sell. It's not a good choice if that's where your instincts are taking you.
Well, it's not a good choice on a number of levels, actually, considering it has hung around in stock for a very long time.
Right. And the same is true, in my opinion, Twilight in the East, at least half of it. The Austrian-Russian conflagration in the South looks interesting. There's choice there for the player operationally. But once again, you talk about Tannenberg, you're talking about trying to put you on rails to make some very specific decisions.
Yeah, because it is such a weird campaign.
Right. So, and having said that, so I've always, felt that system would be better suited if they didn't stick around in 1914. If there are a lot of other, from Operation Michael in 1918 to, like, we were talking offline, Caporetto.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of interesting campaigns where, wow, what if you made this choice? What if these guys made that choice that could have been done that weren't? But people keep going back to the recognizable titles. Like I've seen, I don't want to mention the designer or anything, but someone speculating about doing like a Verdun game,
Mm-hmm.
right? And Verdun's boring. There are tactical actions at Verdun that aren't boring, but if you're trying to do an operational Verdun game, what you're doing is saying, hey, why don't you guys bleed each other for a few months?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, in making that type of thing, you're and I have no idea what game we would be hypothetically talking about. In making that kind of thing, you are literally playing to the weaknesses of World War I as a topic.
Right.
This is what made World War I an unviable topic for war games for a long time, was that it was thought of as this static grind fest, and that doesn't make a particularly good or interesting game. And it was only once that mold got broken in a number of different ways that we started to see a flowering of World War I games.
What series were you talking about? What is it? Give me a title.
I have the Der Weltkrieg series, and the titles are just like the Western Front, the Eastern Front, the Italian Front, the Ottoman Front, and the Grand Campaign, which is the entirety of World War I in Europe, at the divisional level, which obviously is a giant project. But the individual volumes are very complete packages on their own. There is a Western Front one, which is probably just about as interesting to play through as you'd expect, meaning not very. But the Eastern Front one is a really nice package, and that's actually what I was reminded of, is if you want like a 1914 campaign, there is a 1914 Tannenberg campaign, which I think works a little better than what it sounds like Twilight in the East might be handling it at. But there's also Galicia campaigns, and it handles the entire East Front for the duration of the war, right? With a rich selection of scenarios. The thing that turns people off with it.
I'm looking at the titles now, and it's kind of like they made the same decisions. They're like, hey, we're going to do Ypres and Verdun.
Well, the design goal is different in that their intended purpose was to cover the whole war. So as far as the volumes go, then yeah, and in fact there is a volume called the Schlieffen Plan, which is obsolete now. It's part of the current West Front module, but I mean the West Front stuff is not going to be interesting overall, generally speaking, right? You've got that. You could try and rerun the Schlieffen Plan if you want. Or you could do, late war in 1917, 1918 stuff. But I think where it's at is actually... I mean, a lot of that, the Zanzo River stuff is not necessarily particularly interesting either. But you can replicate all of that with the Italian Front module. The East Front module is the most interesting one to look at. Because
I'm looking at them now.
It's got a large number of scenarios, and... you could pretty much pick wherever you want to simulate, or do the whole East Front if you want, which is a large project, obviously. But it's we've set it up, and it eats, the whole East Front eats about 2 standard 2.5 by 6 foot tables, almost exactly. And there's not a ton of off map display space, but there's a bit. I actually felt like Tannenberg actually works in a fairly interesting way in that system, in that a lot of the German advantages in the campaign are actually handled by the system, meaning the German advantages resulting from their much, much better rail system than the Russians had at the time. That's kind of built in. I mean, it's a real simple mechanism. It's like there's this rail movement rule, and there's railroads on the map, and there is a rail cap for each side, and that can go up or down if you're playing the whole war or something like that.
I'm looking at their Eastern Front description, and the thing that puzzles me, right? So they've got Tannenberg, Eagles in the East, right? Galicia, the Forgotten Cauldron. So that's That's basically Twilight, what Twilight in the East covers. Those
Okay.
two topics, right? You got Serbia the Defiant. All right, so at a grander scale, we're covering what Serbia Must Serbian, from the 1914 series covers, right?
Yeah, roughly.
And then they cover Gorley's Tarnow breakthrough. That's interesting. The
Mm-hmm.
Brusilov offensive is interesting, and then
Mm-hmm.
they in Romania, but they don't cover, the German campaign eastward. You know what I mean? Into Poland and on Riga, which is mobile. And it puzzles me, and it's these same decisions like Tannenberg. People will know about that.
Right.
I think it guides a lot of these decisions, and really, and I don't know. I think operationally, when it comes to the Great War, you got to just throw that out. You've just got to look at it and say, "Wow, what would make a great game?" Not what has name recognition.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
well, that's true too. Yeah, and that's exactly the point I was making. Simo has mentioned that Paths of Glory helped to whatever else you think of Paths of Glory, and I like the game.
I think it's a card-driven point-to-point waste of time, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, but
right.
it did show people, both designers and the audience, that a World War I game, even at that strategic level, does not have to necessarily feel like a two millstones grinding against one another.
Right, and that's true. That there are also there are a lot of other poor decisions on the Great War. There's some great tactical scenarios, like to this day. I mean, and I forget the name of the designer. He's an interesting. He's been around, but it was like one of the first things he did. I think he designed it in 1980, and the graphics are horrible because it's 1980, right? But like the Bellow Wood, tactically is a fluid and fantastic scenario. It's never covered.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I found a World War I ASL scenario the other day while picking through that stuff, which I was like, huh, really?
Right. Yeah.
At Tannenberg, no less.
Everybody keeps trying to do things from the grand strategic nosebleeds, seats, which always leads to some kind of on rails, and then they don't select it, what would be good games. You know what I mean? As operational titles, and then everything you ever see, even like the Red Poppy series, which you just did an unboxing on, they're like, hey, we're going to show you how tough it was on the Somme. And I'm like, dude, there are other far more interesting, more tactical level stuff, but you just want to keep selling people a Wilfred Owen poem.
I don't know very much about the Battle of the name of the battle in the third Red Poppies game. I've already forgotten it, actually. I'm thinking Montmoral, but I don't think that's correct. But the first one, the Ypres volume, I found interesting from a historical standpoint. Now, how well it plays, I can't tell you. But just because of the way they set the game up as a product, as far as the three different battles that took place over essentially the same ground, and you got a different map showing how that ground evolved over the course of the war. I felt that was interesting. I can't speak to how cool the game is.
I would actually check out La Malmaison, except for the fact that it's Compass and there isn't going to be a vassal module and there's going to be a bunch of the Compass problems.
Well,
right?
I don't know where they are with that, because there's plenty of Compass product with vassal modules. The first Red Poppies game has a vassal module, for example, and Nations in Arms, which I've been looking at, has a perfectly robust, actually, vassal module. But they seem to have had this recent notion that it's somehow undermining sales or something, and I don't. It's not that I don't agree with that point of view. It's that I do not feel there is a shred of evidence to support it, and never has been. It is just very common perspective.
I'll say my opinion. It's just Bill Lawson being an old guy and running with his gut, not knowing what he's talking about stuff he has no idea about.
Well, the thing, so I mean, they went, and I haven't watched, I think, the last couple of town halls that they've done, but the last one I watched, Bill talked about that a little bit, and he said, and this is not an unfair statement, right? He said he didn't think it was fair to the people that bought the game for people who didn't buy the game to be able to play it for free, and that's, I think, reasonable. But the question I would want to ask is how frequent we feel that situation actually
Yeah.
is,
You,
and
you and I
why
have
we
talked
think
about
that. We have, yeah.
You and I have talked about it 100 times. And I don't want to go. I think he's ass wrong with no data. You know,
Well, that's the thing.
I
Whenever anybody brings this point up, they have no data to work with.
right. I prefer not to make statements like that with no data. You know,
Well, right.
That's all.
There is no supporting evidence to support that. I agree that would be an unfair scenario, but there is no evidence to support the notion that it actually happens on anything resembling a significant scale.
Right. I also think publishers who basically, I think what it really is they want everybody to buy a copy of the game. Right. And the bottom line is, if you and I both lived in Columbus, right,
Mm-hmm.
and I could come over to your house and play the Red Poppies game,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't need to buy a copy.
Correct.
Right. And, and I think that's the way the hobby's always worked. So looking at it somehow stealing from sales is ridiculous.
Yeah. Now, one thing that I've done, if there's a game I'm interested in and want a closer look at the components of the map or whatever, which are important things about a game, I will download the Vassal module, take a look at, so I could at least look at the map, look at the pieces. The fact that there is a Vassal module that exists in such a case is helpful to me in making that buy decision. I have never considered buying, just playing on the strength of just playing the Vassal module and not buying the game. I don't think that that's a decision that people make. If it's an out-of-print game that goes for several $100s or something like that, that's a little different. But then even so, in that kind of scenario, I would still be trying to buy the game. I would just be trying to buy it for a reasonable price on the secondary market rather than buying the first out-of-print thing that I came across.
Absolutely. So
anyway, we are in the middle of the turn 10 action phase.
Yeah, I don't know whose turn it is to draw, so I'll draw.
All right, that's fine. Okay, sounds good. Negley. All right, so Negley has gone twice, it looks like. Just a moment. Does Negley need to go again at this time? I'm going to say that no, he does not.
All right, you may draw the next one.
Another Union. Rousseau. All right, there is some Rousseau stuff on the map. All I have to do is find him. Rousseau has not gone yet.
Is there more than just the one unit now?
No, let me check that. There might be. Yes, there is. Some additional. Rousseau himself actually shows up this turn.
Huh.
But it's going to come in as one stack pretty much. So we'll just throw that in. All right, and this guy will go. I think that is going to do right there for him. And then these are all leaders. Which I think we're going to be satisfied leaving them here. All right, that's it for Rousseau. Hold on a second here. Let me just... This may be another idiosyncrasy of the module where the brigadiers are scheduled to come in, but the rest of the formations don't seem to be. I'll take a look at that. Off screen. So, all right. So that's Rousseau. Go ahead and pick a chit.
Alrighty then. It is a blue. It is Kennett.
Kenneth has gone once. We do need to do some things with him. All right, so we're going to attempt a reorganization here, which fails. We're going to attempt a reorganization here, which fails. We're going to reorganize here, which succeeds, actually. And then this guy, pull him back. I can't. Well, I can do that, but if I do that, you can shoot at me. We can. Well, this guy's just in a bad spot. This guy took his action to become undisorganized.
Gotcha.
So
He's just in a bad spot. I concur.
All right, so we are going to take a shot with this artillery. Let me get out the chart. All right, the hex I'm shooting at is the hex with Wharton. So we're talking about dismounted cavalry. All right.
Where is the artillery? I just can't see.
It's under Stanley.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Okay. So that one hex rotation does not count as a move. I can do a free one hex rotation. All right. So we have 4 at 2 hexes.
Are we actually in range? I forget with the Dawn stuff. Is it like a 1 hex range? We have visibility.
It's 2 hex visibility, and there's an extra -2 at 2 hexes.
Right.
All right. So it's 4 3-inch rifles. At 2 hexes is +2, -2 for the 2 hex range, so that's a 0. That's basically it. So we're at 4 straight. Let me look at the modifiers real quick here. I'm not hitting you in the flank. Although, if I shot at this guy instead, I would be hitting him in the flank. And he's in arc. So let's do that. Let me hit him in the flank. So that's going to be a +1. And that is it. All right. That's a big nothing. All right.
All right.
So, Fourth U.S. Cavalry up top there at the end of the line they move? I'm doing this out of order, and I apologize. They did a 1 hex rotation, so they can also shoot. They will shoot at the guy on the end, or the stack on the end. All right, so it's going to be
you're mounted.
Yeah. Now there'll be a penalty for that. So they have carbines, breech loading carbines at 1 hex is +2. There's no -2 for Dusk. So right there, they're at 5 +2. But they're mounted cavalry firing. That's worth a -1. So at a net +1, masked target does not apply. So I guess it doesn't matter. So it's a 5 +1. Whew, okay, that's a 9.
Critical.
So that is a 1 big D. So that top unit on the very end is going to get disorged and -1 step.
And do we get return fire?
Yes.
Let me flip. Okay. So we are going to. One of the things, by the way, I think we were doing this, but I forget that Tweezers reminded me of from the rules when we were just talking aside yesterday, is that you always can get, if you've got, like, it doesn't matter who's on top or who's in the bottom. If you have 7 factors, you get 7 factors. You know what I mean, from ranks behind them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying.
We may not have been consistently applying that. That is correct. We may not have been consistently applying that.
So let's see. Who do I want to return fire with? So I got guys with. It's all about weapons here. I got guys with shotguns, and I got guys with MC, whatever MC is, probably
that
musket
is
carbine.
muzzle loading carbines. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So only the unit that got shot at can.
Okay. So we're just returning fire.
Yeah.
We're returning fire with 7.
Yes.
MC. All right.
Yes.
So here we go. What are my mods on that, by the way?
Okay.
You're mounted.
What weapon do MC? Okay. So MC at 1 hex is +1. So I am mounted. Mounted cavalry as the target. I don't see a modifier for that. No, I'm wrong. It's non. Okay, so it's non-phasing mounted cavalry. I am in fact the phasing player, so it sounds like that modifier does not apply here. Okay. For return fire purposes, if it was your action and you were firing at me, you would get it.
Do I get prep fire?
Unless you're disorganized, generally return fire is qualified for prepared fire. So that's another +1. So that's a +2. So you got 7 + 2.
Here we go.
All right. Well, it could be nothing. Worse. That is a D. That is not nothing. It's a D -1. Which I made handily.
Okay.
So you will notice that the cavalry, generally speaking, is their efficiency value, or whatever it's called, is lower, like noticeably lower, unmounted,
yeah, I see,
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably more true for the Confederates. But I could be, because they're less used to fighting dismounted. But
any other fires?
No, everybody else. No. Did this guy fire? This guy's the guy. Now I do have one more. All right. This guy right here, looks like 15th Pennsylvania, firing immediately adjacent. They're firing with carbines, breech-loading carbines as well. That's a +2. They are, however, mounted cavalry firing, so that's worth a -1. So they will be at a net +1 with 6 factors. 5. So that's a 6. That is a D +2.
Here we go. They made it.
Okay.
And we shall return.
All right, that's it.
We're returning fire, and we got 7 shooting with a shotgun.
So with shotguns are +3 at 1 hex. And mounted, that doesn't apply, so it's just +3.
And prep fire.
And prep fire, so +4.
Okay. Ooh, hurt.
That unit is disorganized. It does not get prep fire.
So just the +3. So here comes the double barrels. Not bad. 5.
He's low ammo now, though. That's a D +1, which I made.
Fire. You do ammo deplete twice, right?
Yeah, it is ammo deplete twice, and the difference there is that they changed the way. So the ammo rules is actually always been an optional rule. I see no good reason to not use it, but it's optional, right? And they changed the way it worked between versions of the rules.
All right, so that's it.
That is the whole activation. So go ahead and actually, it's my draw.
Go ahead. I'll move Kenneth out of the way.
I got it. All right, Confederate McCown.
McCown, who has not done anything yet. What do I want to do with McCown?
Now, one of the tactility issues with the system, I think, in bigger battles especially, is that you're technically making the decision to activate or not by brigade, right? But you're not drawing by brigade. So there's no like built-in way to keep track of, okay, so for the second time I drew McCowan,
Right.
I activated this brigade, but I didn't activate this other brigade. And I see no way to track that other than to either write it down or memorize it. And that's a little unfortunate. That is something that could be solved with proper display development, but now that the system is being actively developed again, which really hasn't been the case for a long time, right? Well, Richard Berg was alive. He was not really moving the system forward, in the last, say, 10 or 15 years, as opposed to when he brought it to GMT in the first place, where it did develop. There's significant differences between this version of the system and the system that was in place for previous versions. There's sort of a couple of intermediate volumes that were released between SPI going away and GMT taking over, including the first edition of Dead of Winter, by the way, which I think was released essentially by Berg himself and whatever publication edifice he had going on at the time. And I'd be curious to look at those just to see what the differences are, to see if they are closer to the old system or this new version or whatever.
McCown is not doing anything.
All right, that's fine. All right. So your draw.
You stack him with the rest of those. All right. Flip. Breckenridge. Breckenridge looks like I put an extra one in there by accident, so he's gone. Delete. So
I suppose so. Yeah, he cannot have 5. That's not.
I will draw again. Flip.
I was going to laugh if it was Breckenridge again. What the fuck, Pat?
McCown again, and I don't think we're going to do anything again. All right, so over to you.
All right. Palmer has gone once, and Palmer probably needs to act. All right, we're going to do this in an actual noticeably proper order this time. So we're going to activate Haskell's Brigade first. Okay?
Okay.
The first thing we're going to do is we're going to roll to recover disorder from these guys under the replacement leader. He still gets the ±1 to the roll. So the top guy will go first, which he makes. Okay, so he is no longer disorganized. Bottom guy.
Where is Palmer? Generally speaking.
Yeah, right in the middle of dead in the middle of the line.
Right.
Second guy makes his as well. Not by a ton, but close enough. All right, so that stack is done. All right, now I'm going to move your attack marker off the stack here. Because we're going to be... All right, that's not necessary because I'm not shooting at that hex. All right, so the units under Haskell, which meaning the artillery in this case, are going to unload on the stack with 15th Arkansas on top.
With 15th Arkansas on top.
Mm-hmm. That is 1419 or 1420.
I'm looking for it. Okay, I see him. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So this is 6 factors of 6-pound smoothbores at 1 hex for +3, Masked target does not apply because they're firing canister, which is a weird rule if you think about it. It's 4 hex plus range. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, so it's just +3. So they're going to unload. Okay.
Good roll.
So, yeah, 2 big D.
So this guy's going to take 2. He's already disordered.
Yes.
So let's see here.
Which means I got to potentially get the second disorder table out, which I have. Now they'll all take the disorder, the big D result. But only the top guy will take the 2. And you will get, regardless of what happens, you'll get a return fire, because that's
right.
Effectively, it's not truly simultaneous, but it's kind of simultaneous.
All right, so that's that, and they're both going to take the big D result. Everybody's already disrupted.
Oh yeah, it's a mandatory.
Yeah.
Okay, so fire table result then. So they will all. So the top unit will lose 2.
Right.
And then they will all take a big D, which means they lose another 1 strength point each, and they retreat 1 to 2 hexes.
Right. So they're going to end up here. So let me just do that.
John Longshore, Blue Tweezers, and Simo, thanks for coming if I haven't mentioned it.
Where the hell is the other one? All right, and we're going to do our return fire, which will be 7, and what is it?
With old rifles for a +1.
Right. And it's not prep fire because they were already disrupted.
Correct.
So a 9.
All right, so 9 is 1 big D. So that will, let me grab one of these. This is Shift F.
While you're doing that, let me check something out. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. While Pat's away, I'm going to make a attempt to recover from disorder here with this artillery, which succeeds.
That's
okay. All right. So I the other artillery that's part of that brigade, I rolled to recover from disorder and succeeded. All right. The next fire is going to be this unit. This is absolutely unreadable. 90th Ohio. 6 factors of old rifles at that 6/7th Arkansas, right in the front line.
Right.
This is, so it's +1 for old rifles at 1, or for rifles at 1 hex, I should say, and that's it. So it's just a +1, and you're already disordered. So, and that is a 9 with how many factors did I say? 6. That is a 9. That's a 1 big D. So you are going to take 1 from the combat table result, then you will take another 1. And you will retreat 1 to 2 hexes. and get a return fire.
Is it? What is it? Is it just? It's Control Shift. God, my God, man.
Yeah, Simo, no shit.
Shift F.
It is, I believe, to subtract from the factor, I think it's Control Shift F. So, I mean, a lot of times people making vassal modules, which I've never done intentionally, are kind of, work off of a previous infrastructure, right, which wasn't necessarily developed by them. And I don't know if that was the case with this module or not. It's likely that it was, though.
We're returning fire with 7. We're disrupted, so no prep fire, and it's right.
Oh, you also have a -1. You have a -1 because you are disordered.
Okay.
We've been forgetting that.
What is the modifier?
What's your weapon type?
Rifles.
Rifles, that's +1, so then -1 for being disordered, and you are then at a just flat up roll. 6.
6.
All right, 6 is a D +2. So let's make that, which we do.
And then they retreat 2.
And then they retreat 1 to 2.
2.
All right. So with the yellow brigade, we are finished.
Okay.
So moving on to Gross's brigade, which is the blue brigade. We're going to start with the guys on the end, 24th Ohio. We'll be shooting at the stack containing wood. All right. So this is going to be 7 factors of rifles +1. They can claim prepared fire, so that's +2.
Which? The blue brigade?
These guys. 24th Ohio.
Oh, I'm looking.
3118 is the hex that is firing.
3118. Okay. Oh, blue. Right. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Gross's brigade. So,
right.
All right. So we got 7 at +2. So let's do it. Boom. That's an 8. That should be something. That is a 1 little d +2.
1 little d +2. So let's do the.
Now you're at a -1 because wood's in the hex.
Right. So here we go. We made it.
Okay. All right. Let's now.
Before we take our losses, we'll just return fire. And
that's fine.
Right. So that is going to be 7 with muskets prepared fire. No disrupted.
Muskets are +2, so it's the roll is at a +3.
Here we go. 10.
Okay, low ammo. That is a 1 big D.
So I need to get a 5 in there. All right. Who's next?
Okay. Next is the unit in the line immediately to the right, which is that 4-factor artillery. Those are 3-inch rifles firing, and they're same target hex. Same +3. +3. 4 factors. So that is an 8. Which is a big D.
Okay. So before he gets disrupted, we return fire.
No, you may not. You can return fire. Right. You can do non-phasing fire once per enemy brigade activation.
So now each unit in that stack is just everybody's disrupted.
Correct.
Flip. 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 Okay.
All right. I'm just looking to see if I'm missing anybody here. I don't think I am. Okay, so that Gross's brigade is done. Hazen's brigade needs to decide what exactly it is doing. So I think what we're going to do is just move them. And they're in the back, so. Pretty sure that's it.
All right.
All right. So that I'm not sure whose shit draw it is.
There you go. Wood.
Wood. All right. I'm positive I could do something with wood. Wood has gone once so far. All right. Oh yeah, wood's doing something. All right. So let's see what we can actually do here.
So we're getting more in-stream corrections about things that we're already doing. I love it. Ridiculous.
Oh, that's true. We do. I will make you make a leader casualty check for that stack that Wood's in, though.
Yep.
I forgot. I had remembered it, and then I had forgot about it because I had shot at you a second time. So you're fine. Don't worry about it. I think it's only a 0 that results in a leader casualty. It used to be a 9. They changed that between editions, I think, and that I think is a little bit confusing because. Well, I don't know. It's only confusing because they changed it. Let me put it that way. All right. Let's see what we're doing here.
I will remind the audience again, we don't really need any corrections. We will play it as it live.
Well, for the purposes of maintaining stream flow. So what we're doing here, just so we're clear.
As well as if you and I were at a convention and playing.
Well, yeah, that's true too. I mean, there's actually there's an ASL rule that's like rule like 1.1 or something like that. That's you really just can't go back and fix stuff after the fact.
Right. So anyway, continue.
All right. So what we're doing here for clarity, we're rotating as many hexes as we need for one movement point. We're moving 2 hexes, say, which is the farthest anybody moved, and then we're rotating again to wherever we need to be facing at the end. So that is what just occurred there.
Right.
All right, and
I know that's what you're doing, and you have no need to explain it for the world because people are going to try to point things out. Just go ahead and do your move, man.
Yeah, cool. That's what we're trying to do here.
I know.
And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This line is a total fiasco. All right. This stack, starting with the artillery, we'll try to recover. Nope. Next guy down. Nope. This, not that guy. This guy, we'll try to recover.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Palmer's really running the wing now.
Oops.
Who was it who got whacked? Crittenden?
I forget. This guy actually does recover. Yes, it was Crittenden. All right. The guys under wood who moved with the last activation will try to recover, starting with the first guy. -2 on that. He will recover. They're chewed up fairly badly. Next guy down does recover. This guy hasn't rolled yet. He's part of whoever the blue Harker's brigade. He will succeed. These guys, I can't recover because I moved them.
Right.
That is almost certainly it. Now, Beatty's kind of in a bad spot here, but, I can only do what I can do, and Van Cleve's shit is still yet to be drawn.
Right.
So, go ahead. I'll draw, because I think it's mine.
Sure.
Fry. All right, so Fry has gone.
I always think of Futurama when I think of Fry.
That's not really surprising. All right, so with Fry, Walker's unit definitely has to activate. And all we're doing is there. You're going to get a shot on that, a withdrawal fire shot from that hex.
With
you can shoot with both hexes. We're adjacent to 2918.
Let me see.
You know what? Do I even want to do? Hold on a second. Let me not withdraw because of that. Because you're going to get 2 maximum strength shots against the hex if I just bolt, which is completely reasonable, by the way. So I think that particular unit will stand and fire instead. They will shoot at the hex containing wood.
Okay.
So there are going to be 6 factors of rifles at +1. They will claim the prepared fire bonus for another +1. So 6 + 2, and we've rolled an 11. That is a 2 big D. That means that the top unit will take another 2 damage, and then everybody takes.
Everyone's going to take another
and withdraw 1 to 2. Yeah.
So they're all going to go there.
I hope Alan's not mad. That just is not, that was not our intention, I don't think.
No, but
for the sake of, having a stream that we're not constantly correcting each other.
The second thing is it's only been mentioned to him 10 times.
Well.
Right. So that's my thing. I mean, I love the guy, but
yeah, and I love when he stops by, and thanks for coming by. But and his rules knowledge is certainly not in question on this topic. That's not the point. I am content, however. So from the standpoint of running a cohesive stream. And keeping the action flowing as best we can, even though that's hard to do, right? For a lot of these kind of games, that's why I'm unwilling to stream OCS now, because it makes terrible content. I am happy to learn as we go, right? We're not going to get the rules perfect. It is obviously a goal to get the rules perfect, but it's a road, not a destination. And if we only ever did content on stuff that we had absolutely mastered and internalized the game system on, then there would be no content. So
Our
no,
selections would be
by
few.
anybody.
It's funny. I look at a live stream in the chat, right? I look at it like you're at a convention and you're playing somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody at the chat is around the table.
Yeah, and most people are aware.
Right.
Not everybody, right? But most people are probably aware that it's often considered rude by people that are playing to have corrections pointed out from outside the players, right? Somebody, and I don't remember who this was, but it was in the last couple of days that I was watching somebody's video where they were talking about the Magic the Gathering scene, where apparently they have like an actual like rule about this. That is, if you're observing somebody else playing and you see that they have made a rules error, you are not to say anything to them. You are to go to the referee immediately and tell them. And I feel like that's weird, but maybe necessary in that scene.
Well, it depends if it's a tournament.
Well, that's the thing that we're talking tournament play here.
Right.
And some people, there's a lot of people like that tournament format, that competitive. I gotta win.
That's different. That's a tournament. I look at it like just normal convention behavior. So, like kibitzing, right?
Right.
If you and I are playing a game, it's cool for people to come and talk and comment about the history and, oh wow, that looks whoa, have you thought about that? But there are many things that are just as you well know, you've been to many cons, you've seen good situations, bad situations. So pointing out like nitnoiding somebody's strategy while they're playing and trying to guide them how to play their game is bad form, right? Coming in and trying to be the rules referee is bad form. Yeah, right?
And you know what? We are kind of in a new medium for wargaming, right? I mean, so
right.
It's the idea that you can watch somebody else play war games live on the internet is a new thing, and that entire all of the protocols and mannerisms and all of those things are still evolving.
Right. And I'm saying for me and the standard I set for what goes on around me while I'm deciding to spend my time live streaming, right, is the simple convention rules like that, right? It's just as simple as that. Historical discussion, people want to talk about what's going on, whatever. I'm always, it's my standard at a convention. I love having people around and talking about the history and stuff like that. But those two specific things, either telling me or you, right, how to play, be it how, you're doing the wrong thing. You need to be doing this. Oh, you're going to screw yourself up. That'll get you asked to leave the side of a table, right? As will a guy coming up with this copy of the rules, right, and trying to point everything out to you guys while you're playing a game.
Oh, you got to tell that guy to go away. I mean, it's right. It's not even about. It is about whether it's rude or not, and it is, but it's also about you are disrupting the play experience of other folks. So
right. Anyway, continue. So I retreated, took all my stuff. Now I get to shoot back, but after I just did the retreat for.
Correct. Yeah, but did you take any hits on that?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
make a roll for wood.
That was not the hex wood was in, I believe.
It was totally the hex that wood was in.
Where the heck is wood?
I don't know where you put them. And you vacated the hex. That was hex 3019.
Right. I'm looking around for wood.
What did you've lost wood.
I have. So I will draw a new wood. Let me roll.
Where did the guys go?
I rolled a 9, so wood's dead.
Let me check the rule. Hold on. Sorry about this. It's I think I keep spelling it wrong. I think it's a 0 when he dies. It is a 0. So you rolled a 9, he's fine.
Let me find him. Well, I need to find him anyway. So Woods Brigade. There's Woods Brigade. There's Wood. we'll know.
Also, the other thing is if
all right, so they're going to shoot back.
Yeah, that's fine. If you're having to roll like we should actually do the leader casualty check first, because if you have to roll on the leader, then you actually check the leader first, and then the leader may have a modifier to the rest of the rolls.
All right, so we're shooting back with 7 musket.
Muskets is +2.
And -1 for being disrupted. Here we go. Because they were already disrupted. So here we go. Ooh.
So that's a 8?
A 9. Oh, it's
so +2, -1, so it's a 10.
Right.
So low ammo for them.
He was already low ammo, so he's an extra -1.
So now he's out.
Okay. All right. So it's a 10. What does that do?
So 1 big D. All right, so let me get one of these.
What the
6.
hell?
We said big D, right? Yes, we did.
Firing. Ammo deplete. All right. And then I just can't see it. What color is the out?
I think they're all red, actually. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
All right. So he's disrupted. Oh, he took some losses. Yeah. Probably would have happened if he'd withdrawn.
Yeah, those guys are beat up fairly badly, actually. Then again, I fired probably 4 hexes at that hex this turn, so.
Right.
All right, so. Let me make a tiny Rex rotation just to clean that up. Okay. That should be it. Let me verify that this is it for Fry. I think it is. All right. Harlan's brigade passes. Walker's brigade. Holy cow! Oh, these guys are way out of position. All right. So we're going to try to... That's probably the only shot I'm taking. These guys are going to try to recover. Okay, this guy makes it. Flip. This guy will try to recover. He makes it. Okay, so they're staying where they are. Wood himself is fine where he is. That's it. I'm done. I'm not taking the 2 shots, right? The 2 hex shots with if it was daytime, that'd be different. But to take the extra -2, I think is, and then take the return fire, I think is generally speaking not worthwhile. So
I was wondering if you would, because that's what I noticed last time was like, not much happened to me and a whole lot happened to you.
If it's artillery, then I'll consider taking the shot. But if it's just small arms, generally speaking, you're going to be at a net negative for range and the weapon modifier. So I think that's not worthwhile. For artillery, where you might have as much as a +4 at 2 hexes, a +3 at 2 hexes anyway, then maybe it's worth it. So although there's like not a lot of Napoleons on the map here in this particular battle.
Rousseau.
All right. So Rousseau has gone once. Is that correct? It is, and
I'm not sure.
all I really have to do is I'm going to just park Rousseau right here, and that is absolutely all I'm doing with Rousseau.
Okay.
That is technically an activation.
Pull your next chit.
Cheat him.
I've been waiting for this one. All right, let's come in and try to hurt you. So let's start off with the Red Brigade. I like that. The Red Brigade. That is... Who is that? Stewart. see here. I need. Do I have a shot at anybody with that? Yes, I. Does that? Well, all right. So this guy's moving here.
You're talking the guy with Stuart?
Yeah. So boom, the guy with Stuart. Stuart's actually staying behind.
Okay.
No. Stuart's
so
moving.
that will prompt a withdrawal fire shot from 2 hexes.
Well, from 1, from what I can see, because there's woods in front of me.
Okay. Where are you moving?
So I was here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right,
So that's different.
Right.
Okay.
So we're moving here. And as far as I can tell, I am indeed going to get a withdrawal fire from your disrupted guy who's now at 5 strength. He has a line of sight to that hex that I'm moving from. You follow me?
No, I don't think he does.
This guy. I think it smoothly moves like it looks like that force moves right through the center of the hex.
No, I'm going to say that's blocked.
All right.
Yeah, I believe that's blocked.
If you believe that's blocked, then it also means that I don't have an artillery shot at him later.
I believe that is an accurate statement, yes.
So he's going to move there. And what do we got going on over here? These guys are here. All right. So having moved there, these guys are going to shoot at the disrupted guy that's adjacent to them.
The red. Okay, they're under. Okay, so they are under attack orders. Right. Okay, and they're in that guy's in the woods.
Right.
All right, so that's going to be a -2. Right. Woods. Minus.
We have rifles.
I guess it's -1. Okay, rifles at 1 hex is +1. And it's -1 for the
woods.
And
we're using our prepared firebone because we're not disrupted.
Okay. So net +1 then.
Okay, and
it's going to be 7 factors.
Here we go. Oof.
Low ammo. All right, so these guys are going to take a so 1 big D. They're at. Are they already at 5? They are already at 5, actually. All right, so. All right, let's pull that off. All right, and it's because of big D, they're just going to disrupt, which means they're going to take another step and retreat 1 to 2 hexes. Which means they'll keep going. Screw it. I'll pull them all the way back.
All right. And you get a return fire?
I do get a return fire. So it's going to be 5 back at you. You're also in the woods there, so it's going to be -1.
Old rifles, no prep fire.
Old rifles at 1 hex is +1, so that wipes out, and there's no prep fire. And they were already disrupted, so it's a net -1. So let's just see what we get. 5. That is something. It's a D -2.
D -2. All right.
Yeah.
We have a leader in the hex.
And they're low ammo. Yay.
Oh, all right.
Hey,
now,
I think Alan fixed that. That's interesting. When I hit Alt X, it goes right to -2, and then I hit it again, and it goes right to out of ammo.
Oh, very cool.
Cool. That's updated to the current generation of rules. Awesome.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan, again.
So this guy's going to move here,
Okay.
and I think you're going to get some withdrawal.
Okay.
You're going to. So you see where he's moving from.
Oh,
so
that totally will trigger withdrawal fire.
Right. So you've got a shot with that artillery unit that's
The
disrupted.
artillery unit is disrupted. Disrupted artillery cannot shoot. And he's on top, so the other guys can't shoot.
So he's there. And having moved there, he's going to open fire on that same hex.
Okay.
So we are 7 with rifles. We're disrupted, so it's a -1.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the bonus for rifles at point blank?
What? +1.
+1. So it's a net nothing on 7. Here we go. 4.
It's a little D. Which they survive.
Okay. And lastly, this hex is going to do close combat on that hex. All these guys are going to just now charge. Charge!
Okay. All right. So let's do the designate all targets, blah. Retreat before shock, which we're not going to do. Green attacker, which is not the case. Defender's pre-shock cohesion check. Okay. So I think I can... Hold on. 11.37. Let me look this rule up real quick. Because... each defending stack, pre-shock cohesion check, the top unit. Okay, so it's the top unit. Wave fail. All right, so if the unit fails, they get disordered. If already disordered, gets a second disorder. All right, so what will happen is we'll get a second disorder on the artillery, which is bad news. Yep, the artillery is eliminated. Well, we'll put that in eliminated units. The other guys are flipped. So they will be disordered. All right. So now we do the defender's pre-shock reaction fire.
Right.
All right. So we're going to end up with muskets. So that's cool. So that's a +2, right? Is that right? Okay, so it's +2, -1 because they're disordered. So net +1. And that's a 5, low ammo. It's a little D +1.
Here we go. They made it.
Okay.
And now it's shocky timies.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now we do the shock. So you're going to be, it's going to be 9 to 11. So you are going to be less than 1 to 1.
It's 15 to 11.
Is it? Oh, it's the middle hex. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So 15 to 11 will still be 1 to 1. So that'll be even straight up. +1 because defenders are disordered. Plus another 1 because you charged. You're not stacked with a leader. Terrain, they're not in the woods. It's right in the front. That's a good question. There's a pro defender modifier of -1 if the attacker has advance orders. But I don't think you can shock attack if you are under advance orders.
Not as far as I know, based on how this game works.
So what I'm hearing is a net +2.
Here we go. Oh, not
4.
good.
Bloody standoff. Each side loses 1 SP and is disordered. So, okay, so we'll have to check that. Well, let me see what happens here. So I'm having shock table results. I roll a UDD, which I fail. Route. All right, well. So the top guy will route. This is out of in cleave. Bottom guy will pass. And we each take a hit. 6.
And everybody's
disordered at the end. That was a second disorder, so you actually routed one of the 2 formations in the hex. and eliminated the artillery. So that actually was a even though you're disordered. I mean, generally, you should not be surprised if, as the attacker, after a shock attack, you end up disordered.
Of course not.
So,
I'm very pleased. Yes, I'm pleased.
Yeah, you should
pleased
be.
With the result.
You eliminated one unit and routed another. That's a win right there. And you know why?
Why?
I cannot. Van Cleef never has. He's occupying for the problem is that the position that Van Cleef is in is too important because he is almost never going to have more than one activation per turn.
Got it.
So he is just in too important a position. It's a key position, and he is fucking it up. So
let's see. This guy is going to move. We're now moving to the Yellow Brigade.
Okay, that's fine.
So this guy is going to go here.
Okay.
He was not visible until that point.
Nope.
Right. And then he is going to move here.
Okay. That will get him a reaction fired at.
From that artillery unit.
Correct.
I'm out of the fire range of your guy that's like on the pivot there, shall we say. The guy under Price didn't have a line of sight.
That's correct. That's correct. Yep. All right. So
and it's everybody. So I should have done that.
It's
whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Pull the whole stack up, because you got to decide who's on top.
Right. And let me look at the. Oh, I got a green unit there. Yeah. The green guys aren't on top. Okay.
All right. So it's +2, -2 for the. +2, -2 for the night or dusk modifier.
Right.
And that's going to be it. So it's a 9 straight up. 4. That's a 1 little d +2.
Okay, so let me do the little d +2. They failed. They're disrupted. And it's 1. So let me see here. Clone.
Now you should be moving those individually, by the way.
Okay, well then it was the 8, and then the 3 guy shows up.
Okay, and then that artillery has already taken its reaction shot, so it does not get another withdrawal fire shot because it's the same brigade activation.
So, having done that, let me keep moving. So I now have 10 in that hex. Guy's going to go here and there. And you don't have any more withdrawal fire you can do. And then
correct, because they've already done it.
Right. And then this guy's going to go here and then here. He appears.
Okay.
So that's the first. You didn't really have an angle of fire on him,
nope.
And so there's no withdrawal. There's no withdrawal fire.
Withdrawal. It's withdrawal fire. It's called withdrawal fire because it is happening as you are exiting a hex, and the hex you exited is out of arc for that unit, and out of range of any other units they could theoretically fire, because it's dusk. If it hadn't been dusk, that'd be different.
Boom. And boom. That's the first time these guys are visible. Because you were blocked by the other guys.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. And then, boom, you get some withdrawal fire right there.
I totally do. All right, and now we're taking that shot. All right, so that's 6 parrot 10s at 2 hexes. It's going to be a straight up roll.
All right.
It's a D -2.
They made it.
Okay, that's fine.
They end up here. You're low ammo.
Oh, that's true.
And now to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. everybody except the guy who got disrupted is doing shock attack.
All right, so pick an end and work from there.
Right. So this 3 guy, the green guy, is shock attacking Fife and the artillery.
Okay, so you can still attack with that entire stack. You could still shock with that entire stack.
Okay. So the 3 guy and the 8 and the now 7 guy who's disrupted are shocking Fife.
But not the 5?
Right, the 5 is going someplace else.
All right, that's fine. All right, so okay, all right, so we're gonna do pre-shock cohesion, which we make. You're gonna take the green attacker commitment check. So this is actually this is the first time this has come up. So I'm gonna look it up. Okay, give me a UDD on that unit. He fails. So that means he does not shock. That he's not disordered. He just doesn't shock.
He ain't going in. It's just the 8 guy who's disrupted. Okay.
All right. Now we take the pre-shock defender fire. We're going to be firing 4 Parrot 10s at 1 hex. 4 Parrot 10s at 1 hex is worth a +2. There is no dusk penalty. +1 for prepared fire. That's a 4, which is a little D. So give me a little D on the unit that's...
He failed.
Okay, so hold on. This is on... He is going to retreat. He's going to lose an SP and retreat 1 to 2 hexes.
Boom. 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 All right, so that's that shock.
All right, so that was... All right. So
you needed that because that artillery would have been eaten alive.
Oh yeah, they would have just gotten overrun. And that's the only thing they have there. If artillery gets just overrun, there's a huge penalty for that. They would have just gotten, spiked had you actually gone in. They have that shot to try to disperse the incoming guys, and then if that doesn't work, then they're hosed.
So then the 6 guy and the 5 guy, who are adjacent to each other, are going after the hex with Price.
Okay.
We've got a charge bonus, and we've got flank on you.
Okay, so we do the pre-shock cohesion check first. Do I get a rotate here?
Don't know.
I'm checking that. Hold on. All right, 9.61. Oh. Okay, so there's something called reaction facing change. So what now I'm technically I'll ask you to forbear with me here on this. I would have had to do it when you moved into the hex. But I think it makes sense in this case. So to do a reaction facing change.
Go ahead.
So he'll do that. So you're not going to get the flank, but you're still probably going to get a mass bonus, which is maybe not. All right, but if you want, you can decide to do something different if you want.
No, I think we want to go after that guy.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so pre-shock cohesion. So 6 is what we need. We make it. No, nobody's coming in is green. So we'll do our pre-shock fire, which is going to be 7 rifles at +1. We'll designate the target as being the bigger of the 2 units. So 7 factors at +1. We have an 8. That is a 1 little d +2.
So he's going to take 1. He's going to do a little d.
Oh, prepared fire 2. So hold on. It's a 1 big D.
Big. All right, so he's just
Yeah.
disrupted. So let me flip him. He can still go though.
Oh yeah, you can absolutely shock disorganized. There is a penalty, right? But
so we got a shock. It's too late.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Yeah.
Here we
All
come.
right.
We're coming in with 10. We have 10.
What do we have defending?
7.
All right, so it's going to be 1.5, 1 to 1. No, it's going to be 1 to 1.
Okay.
So it's a 0. Okay, so defenders are not disordered. You do get the charge, so you got a +1. There's not an aggressive leader. That's it. I'm not in any terrain that makes a difference. You do have an attacker disordered, so that's a -1. So what I am seeing is a straight up roll.
Whoa. 0. That's not good.
Attacker retreats 1 hex and is disordered. Defender may use shock continuation, which we're absolutely not doing.
1 hex. Where is that 1 hex we want to go to? I think we're going to send him there. And we're going to send him. Does he fit? Yes, he does. There. Okay. That's that.
Okay. So that's shock number 2, and then I think you have one more.
Yep, and we're shocking the hex with the.
You're shocking both hexes. You have to shock both hexes. You have to shock all hexes in your front.
Then I shock all hexes to my front.
Okay. All right. So each stack will roll defender pre-shock cohesion check. So the artillery first, he makes it. The other guy makes it. All right. The pre-shock. We'll get 2 shots here. We'll get 1 shot with the Parrot 10s. Parrot 10s at 1 hex are +2. Prepared fire for another +1. So we're at
low ammo.
3. Low ammo. So it's net +1. That's a result of 4, and it is 6 Parrot 10s at 4 is a little D.
Here we go. We got a leader in the hex.
He's fine. All right. The other one is old rifles at 1 hex, which is +1. He's not low ammo. That is a 7. It is 8. Oh, 7 factors. So it's 7. It's a big D.
Big D. So he's flipped.
Okay. And then. All right. So then you have 10 going in against 8 plus 7. And then I think I think it's 1/4 for artillery. So it's 1 factor for the artillery counts in this calculation.
Sounds like a 1 to 2 to me.
So it's 16, 10 to 6. Yeah, it is 1 to 2. All right. So that's a -2. Minus another 1 for defender disordered. But you did say you're charging, so that's a +1.
Right.
So that's a net -2. I think that's it.
Here we go. A 5.
5 is a defender retreats. Defending unit retreats 1 hex and is disordered. All right. So in that case, I got to figure out where we're going here. So bear with me.
And I think you might lose the artillery.
We'll have to look that up.
Yeah. If I recall from past.
I have to admit, I am not even sure where to look this up in these rules.
Probably under the combat result. Under shock.
Well, that's where I'm looking. I wish there was a section of the rules for artillery, right? There is for cavalry. But I wish there was a section of the rules. Let me look under special units. That would just be super useful. I do think they can retreat a hex, actually. Bear with us here while we look up rules. I believe they can retreat, but bear in mind that it's all disrupted too.
Yes, you are correct.
All right,
That's
so I think we'll pull that back to there. And then you must advance.
Which we do. All right. That is it for the Yellow Brigade.
All right, while you are doing your movement, I am going to take a quick head break. I will be back in about 90 seconds. So please proceed.
Let's see here. We'll save them for last.
I have returned.
Okay. It is Green Brigade times. So this stack here, let me back these guys off. These guys here with the 6 unit on top, you get a shot at them based on their path. I'm just backing them off from your disrupted 8 guy as a withdrawal fire. You follow me?
Yep. Okay. So,
Right.
it's going to be -2 old rifles for nothing. So it's a -2. That's a 4. 7 factors at 4 is little d.
Little D, we got a leader. And I think they're barely, yep. They are... Oh, they're not fine. He's disrupted, barely. Flip. And they end up here. And then these guys are going to end up here. And the 5 guy who's on top, your 6 old rifles guy from a hex away is going to get withdrawal fire.
It's going to be another -2. That's a
3.
3. That's probably a... little d -1. He's fine.
They're fine. All right. And then I moved the greens, right? Yep, I did. But I want these guys at the bottom. All right. Everybody else with the greens? Great. All right. And now we is shocking. So we'll start with Vaughn. And Vaughn, actually, sorry, I screwed this up. This guy's should be underneath Vaughn. So I was fidgeting them about. Okay. Vaughn is going after everybody to his front, which includes...
Sorry, there's going to be a reaction here.
Right.
From the stack that wood is on top of.
Right. You get 1 facing change.
Yep. That's it. That makes a difference.
All right. Yeah. And so we're coming at everybody.
All right, so Vaughn is shocking both guys. All right, so...
Right. Wood can't get a shot off.
Absolutely not.
Right.
But they have to make the pre-shock cohesion check first anyway. So we're going to roll 52nd Indiana, but we are at a -2. Because Wood's in the hex. We have succeeded. The other guy will need to make a pre-shock cohesion, which he fails. All right, so pre-shock cohesion, second disruption is he makes a UDD, which he passes. He will lose a strength point. Let me grab one. And retreat 1 to 2 hexes. So he'll go here. Okay.
All right. And now
Wood doesn't get a shot. So,
all right.
So you're going to be at you're up against 11 with what?
Right. With 16.
Okay, you're not. It's still 1 to 1.
Right.
But
it is not an aggressive leader.
Okay. No defender is disordered, actually. But you do get the charge, so that's worth a +1.
Right.
And you're attacking into the flank for +3.
So it's a +4 total.
Yep.
Here we go.
Oof.
12.
All right. All right. So let's pretend, for the sake of argument, that we have done the 2 hex retreat. Well, we can actually do that cleanly. So the retreat 2 hexes is disordered. So every one of these guys takes a second disorder.
Right.
Actually, no, none of them are disordered. Okay, so they're all disordered now. All right. And then they make another UDD. All right, but there is a leader in the hex, so that's worth minus, and he's a division leader, so it's worth -2. So the top guy will make his UDD, and by make I mean actually make, and the second guy will try his. He barely succeeds, only because Wood was in the hex. If they pass, if they would have failed, they'd have routed. So when we say route, they get pulled off the map.
Right. Gotcha.
And they can return, but not till nighttime. So that is all that occurred. So they bounced hard, and you must advance.
And I can continue shock, I believe.
You must continue shock.
And continue I shall.
Okay, this is... Okay, gotcha. All right, so... Pre-shock cohesion. We'll start with this guy first. Are there 2 units here? No, just 1. he passes barely. The other guy will do it based on the artillery, which fails. All right, so I'm pretty sure that pre-shock cohesion, artillery failing, its shock is eliminated. So you've eliminated another piece of artillery. And this guy second, this guy, the pre-shock, because he failed too, right?
Right.
He's gonna
already disrupted.
Yeah, but so it's a second disorder. So we're gonna roll a UDD for him, which he passes. So he loses a strength point. Okay, and then retreats 1 to 2 hexes. So he'll retreat here. So now you're going in with, what was that, 15?
Right.
Okay.
No, it's 16. Actually, 11 plus 5 is 16.
Okay, so you're at 2 to 1 here. All right, so that's worth a +2.
Oh, and you're 7. Yeah.
Do you get the...
I don't know if I still get the...
Let me look.
I don't know if I still
charge.
get the charge bonus.
That's what I'm checking. Hold on. Oh, so here's something else. And I don't think this would change anything. If you didn't charge, then you are not obligated to continue shocking.
Right.
You also don't have to roll for pre-shock cohesion, or for green attacker commitment on a continued shock. Okay, continued shock does not get a charge.
Okay.
So you're at +2, and that's probably it.
And you're disrupted.
I am. Well, that's true. So that's another +1.
So +3. Here we go. Ooh, not good. 4.
That's a 4. Bloody standoff. Each side loses 1 SP total and is disordered. But my guy was already disordered. So he is going to make a UDD. He actually does make it. So he loses an SP, another SP, and retreats 1 to 2 hexes. And he'll go here.
All right. Second shock is the 9 going after your 6. These guys going after...
Oh, I see it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So pre-shock cohesion, which they make. The shot, they have old rifles. They're going to be at +1, so they're at 7 up 1, which will turn into 9, which is really high. That is a 1 big D.
1 big D. So they're going to go down to 4.
And I have paid no attention to the chat in eons.
Boom. So that's 8.
Apollo Gamer, welcome if you're still around. Hopefully you are. We actually have some play of the Blind Sword system back in the stream history, so check that out for the P Ridge battle. We ended up liking the system too, but I will say that I like Great Battles better. It's just more my love, more in my wheelhouse, right? It's more detailed. Blind Swords plays pretty fast, but I think the chit pull system in that is pretty idiosyncratic. which doesn't mean it's idiosyncratic in a bad way necessarily, but I'm not seeing added value in its idiosyncraticity or whatever I'm trying to say. I do prefer great battles.
So I got 8 coming after you. I'm disrupted.
All right, 8 to 6 will be a 1-to-1.
And I think it's -1 because I'm disrupted, and that's it. Disordered, and that's it.
Are you charge?
Yes, I got a charge. So yeah.
Okay, so +1, -1, and that's it.
Here we go.
It's a straight up roll. 3. That's bad for you. 3 is a standoff. Everybody's disordered, but you're second disordered. So you make a UDD.
Yeah. So he's going to make a UDD, which he makes. So he's just going to lose another?
Yeah, well, so that's lose 1 strength point and retreat 1 to 2 hexes.
Right, and he's going to go here. All right, now... Okay, so that now goes here. So I keep track of these guys. This one's going to go here. And now it is Blue Brigades.
John Longshore, I will save that announcement until I actually do the video for East Front strategic games. Or East Front, they're really operational games if you're talking East Front. Unless you're talking something that's really, really high level, like no retreat, the Russian front. Then maybe that's strategic. But all right, so let's because I think that's worth additional thought, and I will not give you an answer right now without having put that thought in. I will tell you that I do like Dark Valley though, having played it.
Let's see, I'm not gonna pull this off. No, I had them lined up to pull it off already.
One thing that Blind Swords does do that I do kind of like is it's pretty streamlined as far as like column movement and facing, which it doesn't track facing, and it's nice to not track facing, to be honest.
Yeah, you are going to get a withdrawal fire here. No, you're not, because
where did you come from?
I'm moving through a guy. I'm moving through this green guy. So you first would be able to see them here, but you can't. You'd be shooting at the guy on top. So I don't know how you'd work that. You tell me.
Oh, I think I'm shooting at the moving unit, not the guy on top.
Okay, all right. So you get a withdrawal fire.
I will get 2 withdrawal fires, actually. So the disrupted guy first. All right. So he's going to be 6, 2 hexes for my 6 old rifles. 6 at 2 hexes is 0 for old rifles. So it's going to be a -3.
Right.
Do I want to actually take? I'll take it, only because you don't get to shoot back at me. That's a 3. That's a little D.
With Manly there, he's fine.
So you're totally cool. All right. So the other guy, the undisrupted guy who's firing rifles, is at a +1, -2.
Right.
So a net -1. Prepared fire, so net 0.
Right.
And we have a 2. So that is a D -1.
They're fine.
So unless you had rolled quite high, you'd have passed that. All right. So that's that.
And then these guys are going to go boom, boom. And I think, you don't get any more withdrawal fire.
Nope, they already so they can do it once per brigade activation for each type of non-phasing fire.
So now we are going to do shock.
Okay.
Indeed, we are.
All right. Now, sequencing here is kind of critical. So the hex that Maney is in has to shock both hexes in his front. So you might want to do that first, because there's a pretty good chance that the guys who are already disrupted will bolt. Or you may want to do the other guy first, because he's only doing 1. But you have to start at one end of the line, and the shock line, and just move in whatever direction.
So I think what we're going to do It is. We can't do one grand shock, right?
Correct.
Everybody against everybody.
Correct. Yeah, that doesn't. Well, not in this particular situation anyway. But let's say that this guy was not there, and you were shocking both hexes into this hex. Then yeah, you could combine it.
No, I'm saying we can't shock all of your value at once with all of our value.
Not as the current. Not in this disposition.
Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to do the 1-to-1 with Maney and his guys.
The 1-to-1.
This here.
Okay, so he's going to shock both hexes.
Right.
Okay. All right. So pre-shock cohesion. The disrupted guy first. He miraculously succeeds. The other hex will succeed. All right. Defender pre-shock fire. Old rifles at 1 hex. They can't. What's that?
He succeeded on a 7. He's got a 5.
He's got a 7.
Oh, all right.
So we're talking about 21st Kentucky in 3512. That's the unit we're talking about.
All right.
And he's got a 7.
Go ahead.
All right. So the net +1 on the roll for old rifles. 2. All right. That is a D -2. All right. He's fine. All right. Second guy will do his pre-shock. This is rifles at 1 hex for +1. He can claim prepared fire, and he will for net +2. 3. That is a little D. Okay, fine. Nice. Way to go, Vassal Die Roller. All right, so we do the shock, and you're going to be shocking 16 to 14, which is going to be 1-to-1. You do claim the charge, so +1. A defender is disorganized, so +1. So that's +2. No attacker is disorganized. So what I'm seeing is a net +2.
Here we go. An 8.
All right. Defending unit retreats 1 hex and is disordered. Okay. All right. So this guy. Okay. So this guy's a second disorder in the shock, so he's going to take his UDD, which he passes again barely. So he's going to lose a point. And retreat 1 to 2 hexes, and he will go there. This guy will retreat 1 hex and disorder. He's going to end up retreating 2 hexes and disorder. Okay. And then you advance, and you must continue shock.
So, thing is, I could advance here, and then there's no one to continue shock to.
That's true.
Or I could charge your mounted cavalry, which I don't think is a good idea.
There aren't any modifiers for that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Is that a real cavalry unit, or is it Kennett's personal escort? No, that's a real cavalry unit.
There's no modifier.
Nope.
And you've only got 7. You're going to be shooting mounted, which is a -. And I think we're going to go there.
Well, there'll be a plus to counteract the -, too, though. And they got carbines, breech loaders.
What do I do about the other guys who were supposed to be shocking? They're just out of luck.
That's a good question. How do we sequence that? Okay, so I believe we do the first round of shocks first, because there is an actual marker for must shock continue. So we would actually... I'm trying to find the marker. There's always, of course, problems finding markers in Vassal.
Right.
All right, so there's... I don't see one.
Don't worry about it.
Well,
we're gonna shock Kennett. We got to continue.
Okay, so you're going to not do that. You're going to... Did you have any other first shocks?
Nope.
Okay. So, you're going to do the whole brigade first. So now you're going to do it.
Right.
All right, so shock Kennet. So pre-shock cohesion. So let's see what they get. They pass, amazingly. Well, that's not actually that close because Kennet's there. They will get to shoot. So carbines at 1 hex is a +2. They will be at -1 because they are mounted cavalry. So that's a 3. I literally cannot roll higher than a 3. That's a little D. So he's fine. All right. So you'll go ahead and shock in that case. And you'd think there would be some kind of infantry
but I can also see
charging
that
mounted cavalry. That's weird. And maybe there's something that I'm missing.
No, but I also get that they're not Couriasur. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's true. Yeah, it's a Civil War cavalry, right? This is not Napoleonic cavalry.
Right.
So, all right. So I see 16 to 7. That's a 2 to 1. So that's a +2. And that's probably everything, though.
Yeah, I don't have the charge bonus anymore. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
just
correct. Because
+2.
it's a continue shock.
Here we go. Ooh, not good.
Standoff, both sides disordered.
All right. Then I have this other guy here who had finished movement.
Yeah, but he's done.
Shock.
Yeah, he's just done.
All right. And that is it for Cheatham. I think it went okay for Cheatham. I think crumpling that part of your line was important.
Well, yeah, you mean collapsed. So
right.
That's completely not surprising. Again, in part, it's really a function of everybody's kind of badly positioned, and B, because everybody is badly positioned, that flank being held by Van Cleve is really critical, and Van Cleve gets 1 chit per turn. That's just the way it is, right? If he pulls a 4 activation chit, which I've never done, then he's going to get 2. Because he's at a -1, and then the Brigadiers are at -1, so that's -2 chits. You're always at 1 chit. You're always at the minimum.
I felt better about Claiborne's shock than Cheatham on this turn, but I felt like I had to pincer you with it. You know?
Claiborne's shock, well, yeah, but Claiborne, I mean, you did quite a bit of damage, but you took some damage too.
Sure.
You didn't really, at least in this part of the turn, you did punch a big hole in the line, but then the Union was able to follow that up and get some guys in to plug that hole. There's just no ability to do that with Van Cleve. But it's partially because Van Cleve's not going, and partially because everybody else is already gone, right? And this was a mistake on my part. When I had the chance to push up, who is this? Say Palmer, I probably should have pushed Palmer to backing up Van Cleve rather than backing up
the other side.
That center, backing up Wood. He should have backed up Van Cleve because Van Cleve is vulnerable, and then I should have just honestly sacrificed Van Cleve because his whole formation is so unreactive that they're really where you want them is in holding some static part of the line. I believe the battle is over, to be completely honest, at this point.
You think so, really?
Yeah, because I'm completely out of position. I'm badly out of position, which is an evolution of the things that happen in the first couple of turns. And you now have an entire division, much of which is in pretty good shape. Looking at the backs of the Union Center. So
Cheatham, you mean? Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I believe the battle is over at this point. And Rosecrans, well, okay, so a better general would try to withdraw from this position in as orderly a way as possible. This means something for Rosecrans, right? Because this is literally what happened at Chickamauga. Rosecrans, instead of trying to withdraw in an orderly way, shit his pants and left it to Thomas to try to sell. Thomas saves the Union Army,
I could see this evolving into a Chickamauga where, like, your right holds.
Yeah, exactly. Where everybody else kind of
while your center, because they're screwed. The next turn, it's like, well, if they turn to face once, who do you face? You're going to be showing your rear to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would need to do is just do some reorganizations and just, I got to keep hitting you. And Negley can't save the day because Breckenridge is there fresh.
Yeah.
With McCann.
Yeah, and which, I mean, that's a huge help to you that Breckenridge is right there, fresh. So, I mean, again, we're back to, and I think this is, I think a little bit of a weakness of the meeting engagement scenario, which is not the standard battle scenario, I hasten to add. The smart Union move is to cross that creek and stay within, say, 5 hexes of that creek and build the Union army out as it gradually arrives. Right.
Let the other guy do something stupid.
And maybe and then maybe you have to guard this creek, this southern creek crossing down here, which we did. I was kind of positioning myself to attack your left, actually. That's why I was backing up my right under Thomas, right?
Right.
But I don't think that's viable anymore. That whole left, and because of the left, because we were in that sort of V position with a salient out front, was a bad position to be in. I couldn't withdraw fast enough because Van Cleve never got to act. Just because I'm curious, I'm going to pull the next chit, and it's a Confederate chit with Withers. So Withers would have advanced.
Right.
Probably would have been able to hit.
Maybe not in the woods.
That's true. Advancing in the woods under attack orders, you're really only moving 1 hex.
I had a rough choice with Withers this turn, which was, did I want to advance or attack?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, well, crap, if I have on advance, I can't really do what I want to do.
Right.
What I would like to do with him is more shock, right? Right. Those guys are exposed in the center. So the only chance I have to pull that off is to have them under attack orders, which means moving slow. Somebody's, that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, well, if worse comes to worse, I'll get, I'll eke up a little bit. That's why for me this turn, for this dawn attack, the important thing was I need to hit that salient from both sides, and hit it with everything. And you're right. I think, while I did a lot of damage with Claiborne, Claiborne took a lot of damage.
Claiborne did take a lot of damage. He took. I mean, that's how it works, right?
Right. But Van Cleve wouldn't be in the situation he is, nor would the other division of that Palmer.
You'll remember that Wood was just as exposed, the previous day as Van Cleve was. But Wood was actually reactive enough that he could continue to pull back. But then his withdrawal was held up by Van Cleve's inability to do anything. So
my point is merely I don't think I could have done what I ultimately did here if I didn't shock with Claiborne. So if I just held Claiborne back fresh, right?
Oh no, yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
That's my only point. Is like someone's going to get the better of it, and it was going to be Cheatham. Because of, like you stated, for all the Van Cleve reasons, but that couldn't happen this turn without Claiborne, balls to the wall, just hitting the other side.
Yeah, you really see in this the way this has evolved. By the way, that like divisional and formation integrity at both the divisional and brigade levels is really baked into the system, right? Not really having these guys together having guys retreat piecemeal has really messed the Union up. And that's just because this area behind the line in the center was so congested that's just the way it had to work, right?
Right. And that's part of the whole hitting that wedge.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it a salient, right? From both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just create a gaggle, that's trying to face everywhere and disrupt it and, all that. Because if we fast forward this to the next turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Van Cleve will finally go and he's going to have to pull back.
Yeah, right? But see, at this point, if we were to continue, I would abandon Van Cleve. I would say, leave them out, leave them exposed, let them all die, because their position cannot be salvaged. It's an unsalvageable position, and in withdrawing, they would either take a bunch more fire, which could happen, right? We could withdraw them and just say, you take the, you keep shooting them in the back,
Right.
But or they're better off standing and dying, right?
They might be better at doing that because
they could at least delay you for another couple of activations potentially.
Yeah, because Wood's in trouble.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is this Kennett. I mean, I kind of put Kennett up here as a stopgap, and it just didn't. It just didn't work. He was too badly outnumbered by the then dismounted Confederate cavalry, and cavalry really aren't. Yeah, I find it very challenging to use cavalry in this system, by the way, unless you happen to be in a position that's lucky enough where you could do a charge into the enemy rear. Then you can do some damage, but that's really the only scenario in which you can.
So my instincts for using the cavalry here were just based my Civil War history instincts. I was like, look, charging ain't going to be good.
Right.
From what I know about the history, so what I really want to do is, they're like, everybody's really like dragoons. They're mounted infantry, right? Mm-hmm. So get up close and just start hitting that guy with these shotguns. Yeah, you know, right. Get off your horses and go shoot.
Mm-hmm. And
I was worried about that because you basically have better cavalry than I do. Mine's more hodgepodge when it comes to doing an attack. But I think it was the right move in combination.
That's a little bit true, but the Confederate cavalry is better, at least mounted.
Right. My question was, did I do the right thing by dismounting to come up and shoot at you? And I think so, because it was a matter of I wanted to tangle you up and make some guys disrupted. It was part of that whole, if I'm going to hit those wedges, I got to keep Kennett busy.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. I can't leave Kennett free to go down and do anything. Well,
that's true. But they filled that position just because, there's Van Cleve still sitting there. And you've taken something like 6 activations since Van Cleve's previous activation, and I felt like I had to do something to prevent you from just wrapping around that flank and collapsing it.
Right. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's it. I think you're right. I think your fatal flaw was just very early.
I pushed too far forward. Not only that, right? So let's say it had been all wood that had pushed forward to that extent. I could have pulled wood back, right? But the problem was I pulled the very sluggish Van Cleve all the way forward, and he couldn't retreat fast enough. Right. He could retreat, and there's a bunch of factors in there, right? One is Van Cleve's general unreactiveness in this particular situation. The other is the fact that I was retreating through the woods, right?
It's slow.
Which also slowed us down. So, and I was probably, possibly less efficient than I could have been there is a road through there. I could have used the road to better effect.
Right. I think you had aggressive instincts and they served you poorly here. I think ultimately the move was not to, I'm going to move Bragg just so it'll move the map, not to move there early on, right? Yeah. The key is to be on the other side of that forest area, right? And build. Yeah. And then go forward in a cohesive manner.
Yeah. So what I would probably do in, playing this meeting engagement again, I would probably move the first set of units up to somewhere around here where Thomas is right now. Anchor in that wood line and build the army from there.
Right.
Build the army, form a stable line, and build the rest of the army behind it as units come in. And you probably do need to, just to prevent Confederate fuckery down here on this bridge over the creek. You probably do need to garrison that, but you have guys coming in that you've got Davis coming in. You could stick a brigade of Davis's behind that creek.
I never had any thought of trying to cross over to that side of the river.
No, but if we had played 10 sessions and we're, because right now is about when we would be getting into the point where the Union Army has enough mass to do something, right?
Right. Right.
And also, that would have saved time. I mean, as far as this, I wasn't being done any favors by the reinforcement rolls either. I mean, eventually that stuff will show up, but it's very difficult to predict. It's generally like notice it's not a 0 through 3. It's like a 1, 2, or 3 that stuff starts to come in. And it took forever for the cavalry to get in. It took quite a while for a bunch of Thomas's stuff to come in.
I'll be dead honest. Initially, after getting my setup and knowing who I was going to have, it's set up and all that stuff, I had no intentions of attacking this morning. My thought for yesterday and today was just to secure that line, like the round forests, these woods over here and stuff like that. And yeah, it was your salient that made me. It was the salient that kind of made me say, no, I think I'm going to pull an attack off.
Yeah, because you had the ability to hit it from 2 directions, right?
Right.
And
right.
that was critical. All right, so I think we'll talk about how we want to follow up with this, but we'll definitely plan. Pat and I will discuss offline about what we're going to resume on Sundays, which I think we've generally reserved for our larger games.
Yep.
And then we will see you guys tomorrow for a hot, dry season, hopefully.
Yep.
All right. Yep. All right. So thanks for coming, everybody. I appreciate it. Stay tuned. We'll be back at a later time. Thanks for watching.